Everybody, welcome to an extraordinary webinar we're about to have with two people who are dear, dear friends of mine and who are changing the world on so many different ways. First, allow me to welcome and introduce Garrett Gerson, who is the founder of Variant Malibu. He's the CEO also of Calamigos Ranch. If you live in the LA area or near LA or on the West Coast in the United States, Calamigos Ranch and Malibu Cafe is like the go-to place. It is, I've taken my family there for Mother's Day, Father's Day, birthdays. It is sort of a beautiful living room out in the foothills of Malibu. It's awesome. So check it out, Calamigos Ranch and Malibu Cafe. But today we're going to be talking with Garrett about the work he's doing in 3D printing of garments, materials, and in particular, masks. Welcome, Garrett. Pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Peter. Thanks. That was an amazing intro.
It's the truth, man. I love you, and I love what you do. And Garrett also is a member of the X Prize Innovation Board. Allow me to say that proudly. Our second guest, who is by no means second, is a brother of mine from another mother, Avi Reichental. Avi, also a member of the X Prize Board of Directors, our Innovation Board member for life. He is the go-to person in the world of 3D printing, really started the entire 3D printing digital manufacturing side at Singularity University. He is the founder of Exponential Works, which is if you wanted to figure out how do you take your company and inject AI and 3D printing and digital design and transform it, that's what Exponential Works does. And Avi, we should talk about during this time of sort of supply chain reinvention and localizing and manufacturing. I can imagine you're having incredible time. He's also the CEO of Nexa 3D, which is one of the cutting edge, I would almost call it fourth generation 3D printing companies. Avi Reichental, welcome, my friend.
It's great to be here, Peter. Here's a big hug for and Garrett, two of my favorite people in the world. I love you guys.
Yeah, love you too. Love you too. So welcome to all of our abundance guests and folks viewing from around the world. I want to talk about, in particular, the response that both of you have taken to COVID-19 and pivoting into the 3D printed mask arena. I'll also talk about a little bit later in this conversation an X Prize that we're about to launch in the mask arena. But let me kick this off by saying, Garrett, Variant, your company that has been 3D printing garments for some time, you and Avi came together as partners and reinvented a mask. Talk about that, would you?
Yeah, so we took a platform that we had been working on for a few years, created a fairly large patent portfolio around taking point cloud data and then automatically changing it on the back end to make custom garments, right? Fit has always been an issue. You know, you used to have bespoke garments that it became mass produced. And, you know, now we're starting to get back to that point where you want to create something custom fit to yourself. Well, when the whole when the pandemic broke out, then it literally, everything stopped overnight. Our engineers, we have a couple amazing engineers, one's from the sportswear industry, medical, and then our other co-founder is from aerospace. In less than a week, pivoted and started engineering these masks. So utilizing distributed manufacturing, we're able to email these data files to these idle flatbed knitting machines. Everything's we've been sourcing here from the US as well. And we've been able to turn around and create thousands of PPE masks. And now we've got a second generation that we've just released for athletic and sports. So it's amazing how difficult it was to kind of get the engine turning for all the raw materials, because a big thing was, well, A, we couldn't get it from China. The second thing was even the filter media. My nephews wear it. You use the mask. Avi wears the mask. Jenna, my mom and my dad. I wasn't sure how the filter media was being made. Yeah, there you go. I mean, we went to Haynes Corp and they started doing this melt blown BFE 98 material. And this is the, it took us about a month to be able to turn this around, but you slide this into the mask, and I know that I can trust this because I can source it all the way back to the factory, who made it, what time, when. So there's total transparency in the process as well. So yeah, it was a big pivot, but turned out to be what kind of turned out to be the starting point of kicking us off into integrated textiles.
And Garrett, what kind of rate of mask manufacturing so first of all, for everybody, full disclosure, I've had a chance to play with and utilize Garrett's second generation mask, and it's been my favorite mask thus far. And I should have prepared to have it in my
it looks like this
backpack. But yeah, show me. Yeah, so it basically, you don't suck it in. It's very comfortable. It seals extraordinarily well. But talk 1 second about the level of protection. So there's a big conversation right now about masks, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all hear about N95 masks, which are supposed to filter a 0.3 micron viral particle, but that is basically protects you. But the ethos of people wearing masks to protect others around them. Talk about how you've designed this mask, and Avi, feel free to plug in into this anytime you want.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is comfort, style, and then protection. The issue right now with a lot of the masks on the market is they don't fit. They fit poorly. Even your N95 masks, most people don't realize. You see everyone walking around in the grocery stores wearing them, but it takes about 30 minutes if you are with another person to seal that mask on correctly to your face. So it does no good when you wear the mask and it's not sealed against the nose, and you're getting air flow through underneath your chin and on top of your. It's as good as wearing a handkerchief.
Yeah,
totally. So the whole methodology behind this was design something that fits well. That using flatbed knitting, which is 3D printing of textiles, you are able to inlay different types of yarns, and you can now create structure. So in the mask, we can create shape and structure. You can add elasticity. It's one whole piece of fabric.
It's one print? It's one print?
Yes, it's one print. And it comes off, and then what you do is you can stretch it. And then when it comes back, because of the knit structure and how we designed it, it'll come back and mold to your face. So it fits a variety of different face sizes and shapes, which is amazing. Other things that we're doing will be with photogrammetry, making something custom made to your face, right? So we can, and our goal is to achieve as close as to a N95 level as possible. But at the end of the day, the masks you see out there, and I've had friends reach out and they've told me, God, I bought that $10 mask, and I've bought this $10 mask, and they're 7 deep into it, and they said, well, shit, I finally bought one of yours. I should have bought it from the beginning. I was like, you just wasted $70, but okay. And then they want a discount. I'm like, well, because of that, you got to pay full price.
Avi, talk to me about the role you played, because you were in this early. I remember when you and Garrett were working on this, I saw your smiling face on a number of TV channels announcing the partnership you had. What's your role? And I mean, for me, you're 30 years into 3D printing, manufacturing. You're the world's expert. You're my go-to guy.
Well, let me first give a plug, Peter, for the incredible ecosystem that you have created and continue to manifest, because Garrett and I met the first time at an A360 a few years ago, just as he was also joining our innovation board at XPRIZE. And so, but for you, we wouldn't have met. And when we met and started talking, it was obvious that two kindred spirits that like to take on these challenges and create and make an impact and change, came together. And initially, Garrett came to me because he was concerned about how to build the technology stack and how to go after the patents and how to navigate the whole area of beginning to build a complete technology stack for personalized and customized 3D knitwear. And we started to work on that, and we made quite a bit of progress, and then COVID happened. And when COVID happened, the whole discussion was about basically lack of emergency preparedness and how do we begin to play a part in the whole PPE universe. And we plugged into a few of the national task forces, including Mayor Garcetti's task force, and we very quickly realized that there is just not an effective solution out there. And this is where the variant technology came into play, because at the heart of this technology is the ability to take basically a 2D shape and through the magic of patterned knitting to basically turn it into a 3D shape and a shape that conforms. And of course, as we did that, we realized that sustainability, not just performance, not just comfort, but sustainability, the fact that we're creating a lot of trash if we don't think about the disposal side of these masks is also important. So we created the disposable filter that takes this mask to a higher level of performance. And of course, now as we get into Gen 2 and Gen 3, we're beginning to look at the mask as a terrific platform to not just deliver, if you will, another Dollar Shave Club type of a business model, right? But to deliver fashion and fit and personalization, because as Garrett said, there is a tremendous opportunity here to completely customize to the shape of your face. And let's face it, Peter, masks are here to stay for a long time. I mean, as we navigate through this unprecedented pandemic, to me, this is going to be the next accessory akin to what ties used to be and scarves used to be, for the rest of us. And it's going to be part of our identity with an added layer of safety, comfort, functionality, and probably embedded sensors in the future. So we're all over it, and we're just beginning. And the good news, for a fairly young company, we're actually generating revenue, which is amazing.
Well, I know that you've generated billions of dollars of revenue in your companies over the years, Avi, and Garrett. I know that as an entrepreneur, you've done extraordinarily well. So I love the fact that variant is real, and the difference between generating, for entrepreneurs watching, this, right? Your mission is not to plan to generate revenue. It's how do you start generating revenue as soon as possible, and that's the mark of a real product and business. So a couple of questions here, Garrett. How long does it take to actually print one of these, and what's your potential manufacturing volume today, and what's one of these masks cost?
So it takes anywhere from 10 to 12 minutes. So the version 1 is about 10 minutes. Version 2 takes a little bit longer because of the idiosyncrasies of actually having to build the shape and then doubling up the 2 layers. The capacity locally here in LA, we can run about 50,000 units a week once we get the factory up and running. Then we've got factory partners in St. Louis, Vancouver, New York. I mean, this is, when you talk about localized distributed manufacturing, these are traditional flatbed knitting machines with our layer of, technology that we've kind of, in our programming that we've been able to put on top of it to be able to make these really efficient. So they come out one after the other in almost a chain. So we run our R&D machine here at the ranch. So we make some here and we test production here, and it comes out in almost like a giant, it's a chain of masks, they run the length of our barn that we have.
That's amazing. So, what's your current pricing on the mask?
So for the our version 1 is 30. The version 2 is 35. And because it takes a bit longer for it to make. And then we have a third version that's coming out. There's actually a mask that is at Johns Hopkins now with embedded low frequency Bluetooth for location contact tracing, as well as we've added thermal heat sensors inside the masks to be able to take your temperature. And we're building algorithms around
I
that.
was going to ask you, you know, I keep on speaking about a trillion sensor economy and that, you know, by 2030, we'll have 100 trillion sensors measuring everything all the time, everywhere. You can know anything. And so one of the questions I was going to ask, and you've started already, is what are the sensors you're building into the mask? And then you've also, so I'd love, Avi, your vision as well of like, what might a mask look like I wouldn't even say 5 years from now, a couple of years from now in terms of functionality. And then I'd love to also pivot a little bit to the conversation we had about what antiviral treatments you expect to coat the mask with.
Yeah, so I think, Peter, that this is very quickly in weeks and months, not necessarily in years, is evolving into a highly functional, extremely personalized attachment that you will need on a daily basis. I mean, we'll need it when we fly airplanes, we'll need it when we're interacting in the office. And the utility and functionality, there you go, now we got the real part.
There's another market we probably have to start making masks for.
That's right. The dog and cat market is probably much, you know, more lucrative than what we're talking about here. But think about the opportunity to take your cell phone, activate the Variant app, take a few pictures of yourself, and you will then get in the mail a highly functioning, highly breathable, light, customized mask that was designed to fit you and only you. It will give you the space to breathe. It will have embedded sensors that will be able to do safe distance tracking and vital signs. It will have a filter that you can replace periodically, and we will continue to send you the filters in the mail on an ongoing basis. And it will rise to the level of also giving you an individual way to brand yourself, your business, your personality. Because let's face it, this is going to be probably the most used part of our daily accessorizing, not just for vanity reasons, but for health reasons and for functionality reasons, for our ability to show up and do what we do for the foreseeable future. And so we look at it as an incredible platform, and the way that we can use here convergence of 3D knitting and think about the massive global capacity of these machines and how Garrett and the team, how we at Variant are able to reimagine the utility and functionality of all these machines that are largely now sitting idle and repurposing them to begin to be a part of a global localized network of digital fabrication. And what we're really transmitting is, you know, the digital inventory, right? I mean, you can sit in Montana, and if you had a machine nearby, I can send you the file, and you can take the mask out of the machine. I mean, this is kind of the power of the whole Variant technology stack.
Amazing. And what Avi's talking about is so true, because with one of these machines, they're feeders. Almost like, I mean, it is the textile version of 3D printing, because on this machine you can spool up anything from natural fibers to what we're using as synthetic performance fibers to even carbon fiber. I mean, we're working with somebody now to engineer our own yarn to be able to add to these our own products. But when you send the digital file over, what it'll do is it'll call on the certain feeders, and then it pulls them in to make the product. So on that machine, you'll make not only maybe a sweater, right? Because it's cold out, it's snowing because you're in Montana. But then you want to make a mask because you forgot yours. And then what it'll do is it'll call on the other feeders and it'll pull on those. And then you need a pair of shoes. It can knit those as well. This same machine not only knits and I think you'll understand probably some of the designers that work for us and why the mask looks the way it does, because we've gleaned some of the some of the best knitwear engineers, and that are working for Variant and helping us create these products, but it gives it that robustness. So Virgil Abloh, that is, the creative director of Off-White, he said what Avi is saying in the exact same way, that masks are this giant blue ocean, that everyone needs one, and everyone needs one. Everyone needs a great one, and everyone's going to want a fashionable one. Those are, Asia has adopted this, for years. The U.S. I think is finally, well, especially with what's going on now. This is a accessory that is here to stay, like a pair of socks. I almost equated to that.
Well, I love, Avi, your analogy to the tie, the cravat. It's actually a perfect, as close as you can as an analogy, or the headband, if you would. So I'm curious, because you can weave it, you can customize a person's design and look. You could,
oh yeah,
completely. You can take all of the key features of your face, and we're working on a downloadable Variant app that you can download in the not too distant future, and actually begin to customize by taking a few pictures. We will then use photogrammetry to stitch it together, and then we marry that app with our stitching software or pattern stitching technology that basically begins to create tension around certain parts of the fabric here of and that gives it the shape, Peter. And of course, to that we add a few inserts. We have a little metal insert here that allows you to create the proper seal and shape around the bridge of your nose, which is kind of pliable. And that is just the beginning of the kind of customization. Now, if I were you, Peter, I would reserve my Halloween mask today. and don't forget Christmas, right?
That's nice. So you basically order for all occasions. I'm gonna.
We need to be relevant and fashionable as well, right?
Show me your mask. Show me your mask, Garrett.
This is the one we did for Tony's group. They're out there now. They're gonna send over a photo.
Fine, yeah.
Yep. And it's so. It comes down to you got to build a foundation in order to be able to iterate quickly. We've done that. That's what the last couple of years was. And Avi was the tremendous help in helping create the correct roadmap. In order for us to get there, not only with patents, but in how we actually build this thing out. But now we can literally drop an image into the mask, it renders it, and we can go right in production. It's pretty, like the iteration speed of, and you think about it, right? Just the mask it's relevant today and what we're doing, but it really fans out into everything, everything that is, like you said, we will be connected through sensors. How do you do that? What do we wear every day? My Oura Ring's great at some point, but I can't really work out in it. Definitely can't surf in it because I lost one already. But there's, my Whoop bracelet is great, but I also look like I got a DUI, and so at some point there's got to be some further integration, like your favorite white T-shirt. When you get your favorite, like I love this black T-shirt, I printed our logo on it. I've got 10 of them. I'm susceptible to this as well. You get something that fits, that looks right, you buy multiples of it.
Yeah. I'm guessing eventually you can 3D print an image of my face on it so that at least there's a picture of my face, or a QR code with my business card on it. You can image me.
and animate the lip area, so.
Amazing. You also talked about being able to coat it with an antiviral so that you get extra protection.
Yes.
What are you doing in that area?
So there's a company out in Switzerland that we're working with now. They're actually applying for FDA approval, but it's almost like it's like a pressure cooker, and it's a solution that they have. They're testing it now. It'll take a couple of weeks before we get the results back, but effectively it's good for 30 washes, about 60 days. We're working on a program now where at the end of that 60 days, or if you've washed it roughly 30 times, you send it back to us. We'll retreat the mask and send you out another one. So COVID has, I would say, hyper accelerated a lot of these really great innovations that probably wouldn't have seen the light of day or taken a lot longer for mass adoption. I mean, talking about this type of coating into other things that we can knit, and knitting is, just for context, you are engineering the fabric through the yarn. You're engineering the fabric, you're creating a texture or a structure, a dimension to it, and the product all at the same time. That's the beauty of what we are able to do. And then you can apply, because you're choosing the different types of raw materials, you can apply all these types of coatings on them. Again, a big thing is safety. I wear the mask. My nephews wear the mask. My family wears a mask. It's about, we wear, I definitely don't want to make something that's going to make, somebody sick. And I want to know where every part of that comes from. That is also the other amazing thing about what we do, is I could tell you from your product what machine it was made off of at what time, where those raw materials came from, and you can really, there's so much transparency in this process.
Yep. So just on the mask front, and I want to turn the attention a little bit, Avi, to supply chain and 3D printing a little bit. So Garrett, if someone wants to buy the Variant mask right now, where do they go?
So they can go to our website, Variant, VARIANT, Malibu.com.
Okay.
We've got it a couple other places too, but that's the best place. Is where we have all the new releases of like the limited edition pieces that we're putting out, and then you'll also be able to kind of be first in line for the filter subscriptions. We're actually adding aromatherapy or essential oils into the filters as well. If you have to wear a mask at some point, why not have it smell great, do things like give you a bit of clarity of thought, or relax you a bit, or give you a bit of energy. So
yeah. So here it is, variantmalibu.com, knit masks. And I can say without any hesitation, I have tried a dozen different masks like everybody else has, and it is by far my favorite mask. And I'm holding out on some custom print ones. I need to send you some plastic there. Yeah. And if people wanted to custom print, is there a minimum size order?
Yeah, it's 100 units. 100 units, and we can turn it around, and depending on our workload, it takes about 2 weeks.
Got it. Cool. So one question is, why don't people wear masks? So we see cultures around the world who are all gone heads down on masks, and masks, regardless of what you think, masks will save lives. I think a lot of people are concerned that, if I wear this mask, it doesn't save my life, it protects other people around me. But if we can get to a social norm, then all of a sudden you've got enough people wearing it. And I'm just curious, why do you think people aren't wearing masks?
I'll let me take
sure.
a crack at this, and then Garrett, you can wait. I think, Peter, that we have a certain level of rebellion and independence that's ingrained in the idea of who we are, here in the United States for sure. And that oftentimes any kind of barrier that is inflicted on us is being associated with either being told to do something, or being forced to do something, or being inhibited in some way. And I think that the opportunity here for Variant is not so much to educate the average person why it's in their best interest to cover their face. I think that the opportunity for us is to make it irresistible, so irresistible that you would want to wear it, not just because it's good for you and safe for you and indicated by your governor or mayor, but because it makes you look cool, because it helps you get the date that you want, because it gets you places and makes you notice, which is, like it or not, part of the human condition. And so to the extent that we can, and let's face it, most masks today suck. They're uncomfortable. They're not usable. they create a lot of waste, and they give you kind of a false sense of security with a great deal of discomfort. To the extent that we at Variant can change all of that through design, and the fact that we have the design agility built into our technology stack, that we can run minimum custom orders in a batch of 100, gives us infinite possibilities to also be the digital manufacturing foundation cornerstone for rapid iterations of new masks designs, so that we can get to this irresistible combination of fit, function, and performance.
Yeah, no, I love that idea that it's not a matter of how do you force people to use it. It's how do you make it so that the downside of not using it is so there's such an upside to using it that you want to. I totally agree. And as both of you know, given your X Prize relationship, we're getting ready to announce a mask X Prize next week, a challenge around X Prize around mask design. Um, and I don't want to spoil what we're doing there, but until then, we are running a survey. And let me just share with folks this survey. Here it is. If you go to, yeah, you can read this here. It says Next Gen Mask Challenge. Masks suck. Let's make them better. And if you go to xprize.org/mask survey, we're getting a survey from everybody about why, if you don't wear a mask, why don't you? Give us your top 3 reasons. We'll be publishing this, and of course, Garrett, I'm hoping that you'll be addressing most or all. They're uncomfortable, they hurt my face, they're ugly and boring, they get too hot, it's difficult for me to have a conversation, they're not eco-friendly, I have difficulty breathing, et cetera, fog my glasses. So I would love everybody watching, please take a second, go to xprize.org/mask survey and send it out to your friends. We'd love to get everybody's input on that. So COVID-19 hits, it's March and April, and all of a sudden our global supply chain screeches to a halt in most places. Supplies coming out of China, into China, out of India, into ports. I have to imagine, because Avi, you've been speaking about completely virtualizing the supply chain for a decade now. This must be a pivotal moment for the 3D printing industry.
It really is, and it has been remarkable to witness in call it late March, early April, how the entire 3D printing community came together worldwide just to be able to supply enough face shields and other PPEs, ventilator valves and valve splitters, and a whole host of parts that were just not available, Peter. I mean, we got caught down with our pants down in the midst of this pandemic, both in terms of any emergency preparedness, because what we had in the stockpiles wasn't really relevant to the problem at hand. But the same happened to businesses. We, in our own company, Nexa 3D, had to wait for certain electronic components to come from China that were delayed by like 70 days. And so for the 3D printing industry, this was an opportunity to demonstrate the power of hyper-local distributed digital fabrication overnight, the power of sharing and co-creation. And you can go look on like the NIH site at all the designs that NIH and FDA and VA together in a joint workforce created, rapidly approved, tested, and put out there to crowdsource. And it also is another I think, powerful example of something that you've been talking about for years, Peter, which is the power of the crowd and what happens to certain designs when you outsource the innovation around the world, and how quickly ideas can travel, get implemented and tested in nearly near real time, and materialize around the world out of 3D printers, not just of companies that had established manufacturing organizations, but out of people's garage printers and makers printers and high school robotic clubs that had printers. Everybody got into the business of replenishing all of the depleted supplies. What does it mean going forward? I think every company that is in the business of making something, manufacturing a product, is re-examining basically the resiliency of their supply chain, the complexity of their supply chain. And I think that we're in for a massive disruption to how we think about supply chain. It's on every CEO's agenda right now. Yeah. How do I mitigate? How do I provide the business continuity? How do I make sure that in the next event, I'm not caught with my pants down?
Yeah, no, amazing. So we're going to go to your questions, everybody in the abundance community listening. So please get your questions ready, and I'll turn Jerem to you to feed me some. And just before we go to the questions, Garrett, I know that you, besides people wanting to get custom masks or ordering masks, and but you're also looking for potential partners, collaborators, folks to help move in new directions you haven't even thought about yet. So folks who are interested in the Variant Malibu capabilities and products, whether they want to come in as a strategic investor or partner and so forth, where should they contact?
I should have them reach out to me directly. It's Garrett, Garrett, at variant.group. And I probably can't share it on here, but it's I can repeat it again.
Email the team at a360.com or the Abundance Digital team, and they'll share it as well. So let's go to questions here, Jerem. Let's jump in.
Yeah, sure. So our first question is from Francis, and he's wondering what the cost of a 3D printing machine would be to produce a mask like this, and what your rate of production for these items are.
So they range in price anywhere from about 120 to 65,000 to 120. Roughly takes about 10 to 12 minutes. A mask takes about 10 to 12 minutes to produce one mask. There's very little maintenance, and once you tie it up, one operator could run about 10 different machines. But where I think the value in this, the value proposition in this is, especially now with everything that's happened with COVID, fashion is effectively decimated. There are idle factories sitting all over the world that are just dying to be able to receive and make something. So utilizing our platform, what we've built, our engineers were able to then, turn those factories around and be able to produce a multitude of different types of products.
Great. And then his follow-up question to that was, how difficult is it to source raw materials for producing these masks, and where do you source your materials?
So sourcing raw materials takes you need typically a knitwear engineer to be able to understand that. It is difficult if you don't have the background or the knowledge, because as you put these things together, you can't mix natural fibers typically with synthetic fibers, or you need to do it in a certain way. We've been talking about a way to streamline that a little bit, but it does take the right team of people to be able to do it. We are sourcing here locally in the U.S. out of North Carolina. They have an incredible infrastructure for making raw materials like this and mixing and creating all different types of raw materials. Germany as well is an incredible source, but right now it's a bit difficult to get anything out of Europe.
Great. Up next is Mike, and he's wondering how your mask's filtration and airflow compare to other masks like N95s.
So these masks are not an N95 because N95 is a full spun bonded N95 fabric material that's been molded. We are knitting, or we've engineered a fabric with a pocket that covers the whole face, over the nose, under the chin, and around the cheeks. It's been tested and rates higher than a surgical mask. So those blue masks that everyone wears around, for some reason, people still love wearing those. You look like you're either ready for Halloween, or you're going to go go right into surgery. I can't say that's the most they're not the most amazing masks, but I guess they kind of do the job. Minus the fact that the sides are wide open, so and everything's coming in from the sides, or people don't put down the nose bridge correctly, so it's pretty useless.
Great. Okay, so up next is Shamini, and she's wondering about Variant's plans to use exponential technologies like AR, VR, AI, etc., in the future of fashion. So that's specifically for Garrett, and then the broader question for everyone here would be, what do you see as the biggest disruptor to the fashion industry post-COVID?
Well, that is why Avi's part of the team, a partner in this, because we are talking about adding all these things into our tool chain. We've had several discussions. One this morning about adopting AI and teaching all the rules, and having teaching AI the rules of knitting, because there's so many variations to it, and then being able to have it create a base product and then have it iterate, multiple thousands of different types of products from it. Sorry, what was the second question?
Second question was, what do you see as the biggest disruptor to the fashion industry post-COVID?
Well, I mean, I think disruptor of fashion has been teetering on needing a proper disruption. This definitely ushered it in much quicker. Fast fashion created a very bad abundance of like an overstock of product. Everyone's, that's why a lot of these companies are filing for Chapter 11 and going out of business. What's going to happen is on-demand manufacturing, being able to do that in a distributed on-demand manufacturing in a real meaningful way. The other big disruption, which is coming, it's everything comes in cycles, right? The turn of the century, things used to be bespoke. The First World War ushered in, categorizing people from extra small to extra large. And now with technology, we're able to meet everyone's demand. I foresee that in the very, very near future, especially with what we're doing, to be able to create mass-produced, bespoke, unique products and garments for individuals.
Avi, you want to talk about any of the exponential tech coming into
absolutely. Yeah. So when we look at the variant evolution from face covering products to maybe footwear and other accessories in the coming months and years, we definitely see censoring be a big part of it. We see machine learning being a big part of how we manage the back end, all the way from custom design to bespoke instructions to each machine, and how we virtually manage a digital factory. So we will have AI. We're not gonna have just machine. We're also gonna have vision. So it's gonna be vision and machine learning combined together to be able to operate the entire back end of the stack here. And in addition to that, we see a lot of co-creation tools, because ultimately Variant as a fashion brand has to speak to you, and it has to speak to you personally and individually. And the best way that it speaks to you is if you have your fingerprints on it by co-creating with us. And that co-creation will take into consideration technologies like AR and possibly even down the road VR, and it will definitely incorporate technologies like 3D high-speed camera, streaming and vision and scanning and photogrammetry and other call it virtual mirroring capabilities that will allow you to see yourself in the product that you create in a lean forward position in the comfort of your home while you're actually creating something that's incredible. So that's how I see the convergence of all these exponential technologies into the making of the products and the brand in the coming periods. And as far as the question of disruption in fashion, I think that Garrett really nailed it. I mean, we're going to see disruption in the way that we create and make everything. And particularly for fashion, the fact that it's time to graduate from the sizing of the Industrial Revolution to large, medium, and small to me size and hair size and eye size, and to make sure that we get what we want and that it fits us well and it functions well. And it's casual, elegant, and functional. That's where the fashion industry today fails a great deal. And also, how do we make wearables really connected and smart? Not just fit well, perform well, but be connected and smart. This is where I see the opportunity to disrupt fashion. We also need to understand that this virtual and remote connectivity and association, like this Zoom session, is another trend that is being accelerated in terms of adoption. And the kind of fashion that will be required for these kinds of settings, when we're denied the opportunity to congregate in a traditional way, also represents a giant disruption in fashion.
It's just going off of, where's my iPhone? I mean, this was a supercomputer, right? Everything that was in this, right? And it's, you think of what has happened with handhelds and tablets. Fashion has been stuck in this very industrialized, mass-produced, utilizing tons of human capital to be able to make things that typically we don't need or want. And then with sensorizing, like sensors will be a part of our life. And how do you do it? And using fashion as a word for style or to make you desire something, we can engineer that with the right co-creation to really take what is now on my finger and adopt that all into everything you wear, into all your outfits in different components.
Great. Interesting question here from Susan. She's wondering if you guys know why the WHO switched their recommendation and began suggesting people start wearing masks. Under what circumstances are masks most helpful to curb the spread of COVID-19?
So let me take let me answer this one first. It's really wearing masks protects not only you from contracting it. If you look at, there's a chart showing very clearly if you're not wearing a mask, the percentage of you catching COVID-19 is very high, right? And it progressively gets less, almost to zero, if both you and somebody else are wearing a mask. It's not, and a big thing is you're wearing the mask out of respect of everybody else because you don't want to spread this. And that's, I think, something that we need to, it took me a little bit to get my head around that in the very beginning, 4 months ago. And now that I realize it is something that I'm doing a service by wearing a mask to protect other people out of respect. But contraction rate of COVID-19, if both parties are wearing a mask and you socially distance, is nearly zero.
Great. And Cameron is wondering what the maintenance is required for these custom masks. Can they be worn multiple times? Yes,
you can wear them multiple times. My dad's I use him as my product. He does all the kind of, he's my product tester. He literally tried, I thought he was gonna give himself a heart attack. His face turned bright red, but you cannot destroy this mask because it's one single piece of construction all the way through. So you wash it, hand wash it, throw in the washing machine, throw in the dryer. It only takes a few minutes for it to dry. There's a moisture wicking. So the way they've engineered the actual yarn, it wicks out moisture. So you leave it in the, leave it on your dashboard for a few minutes, or leave it out, or dry it with a dryer. It'll be drying in like about 2-3 minutes.
All right, up next is Mason. Do you see these masks becoming safe and or sterile enough to replace the disposable ones used currently in hospitals?
That's our hope. There are millions, now at this probably point, there are billions of masks. They're ending up in our oceans. Single use, masks will become like single-use water bottles and plastics. That's the big thing for, not ironic, this sustainability is a big thing for us, not only making it zero waste and out of one whole piece of fabric, but these are made of recycled water bottles, texturized to perform the way we need them to. But the hope is yes, but it's going to take it's going to be an adoption curve, and then we'll have to be able to install a sterilization tool set for them to be able to re-sterilize these masks for reuse.
Yeah, I would add to that by saying, hell yes, this is this is. Look, we need to put this in perspective. Peter talks about how fast things happen in exponential times, and this whole pivot happened from March to middle of March to the middle of July. We're already on a second generation. We're generating revenue. The company is expanding, and we're layering in more and more technology across the board here. We're not going to rest until this mask, hits the mark in every material respect. We think that technology is on our side. It's not a walk in the park, but it's audacious and achievable, as Peter likes to say. And there is an opportunity here to really also offer a very sustainable solution, because we start from a recycled water bottle, and we're going to end up with something that can continuously be cleaned and recycled until we take it back and recycle it again. So there is a big sustainability play here in terms of waste reduction, reducing and recycling. And there is a huge opportunity here to basically learn how to use a renewable resource. And I firmly believe that we will get there fairly quickly, including any kind of sterilization in situ, especially in hospitals, because hospitals are already used to receiving bulk products and sterilizing them, either autoclaving them or doing it in other means. They have the equipment, they're trained to do it, and we're going to fit into that supply chain in a similar way, by the way, to what we did the last few months with nasal swabs, which quite a few 3D printing companies started to print, and we figured out how to get it all the way into end use, particularly in hospitals where they could take it in bulk and do all of the autoclaving themselves.
It's, Neil's actually our co-founder has been working on this very thing. We've been donating, thousands of these masks to hospitals. In a lot of ways, these are actually our masks are showing up on the front line with first responders, with nurses, ER doctors. So it'll maybe take a little bit of time, but what we've been able to do in the last 3 months is pretty mind blowing, and especially the quantity of masks that we've already produced and distributed.
Awesome. I really like this question from Danny. She's wondering, if masks are here to stay, how do you think masks will adjust to show facial expressions and the communication/signals that are often involved in nonverbal communication?
So, can you make these transparent?
We're looking at that.
Yeah, that's one path.
Yeah, we're looking at that. So that's, that is going to be, it is a challenge, but that is what we're looking at for the fourth iteration of a massive where we want to engineer.
Yeah, I would say stay tuned. There are quite a few possibilities here, including a see-through mask, a mask that has some facial muscle activation and illumination so that you can begin to, think of an emoji on your face, and
a little billboard that smiles
exactly,
when you.
exactly. So, there is no limit to what one can do once we realize that face covers are here to stay, and it's a beautiful canvas for creativity all around.
It is a canvas for sure. Jeremy, let's take one more.
Great. This next one's fun. So it's from Alicia. She asked, how do you see the long-term guidelines around social distancing and wearing masks impacting how people in the world date one another?
I don't know. I haven't. That's an interesting question. That's a great question. I guess if you have your profile pic, you've got FaceTime and Zoom, I think maybe it'll be a lot more virtual before you decide to meet in person.
Yeah, I think that it spices up the courtship and brings some interesting and intriguing challenges. And when all else fails, if you really like somebody, go isolate with them for 14 days and you figure it out.
Well, just thank you guys. Our next week's guest, actually, Jeremy Bailenson, will be joining us next Friday, July 17th. And Jeremy is at Stanford, amazing leader in the VR world. And maybe we can ask him that question about dating in virtual reality and see how that works for him. So Garrett and Avi, grateful for your time. Thank you so much. Again, Garrett, your email if people want to reach out to you.
It's Garrett, Garrettg at Variant, variant.group.
Fantastic. And Avi, if anybody wants to reach you, do you want anybody to reach out to you, or should they reach you through me?
Either way, they can come to me directly, or you can send them my way, Peter. It's Avi at Exponential Works.
Wonderful. All right, thank you, gentlemen. I miss you both, and looking forward to coming up. And I got to bring my 9-year-old's Exponential Works so they can 3D print some fun stuff with you, pal. And
can't wait, can't wait. The twins can print, and you and I can have a glass of wine.
I like that. And again, everybody, please, a jewel, an absolute jewel in Southern California is Calamigos Ranch and Malibu Cafe. Check it out on Google. You'll make a day of it. It's a phenomenal experience. Anyway, love you both. Thank you. To everybody, next Friday, July 17th, Jeremy Bailenson. We'll be talking about how to use VR to create empathy. How do you put yourself in someone else's shoes to see what it feels like to be them? A very timely conversation. Anyway, take care, everybody. Thank you all.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.